Welcome back, friends, to the shop. Today's video is brought to you by Simplisafe. A couple quick things before we jump back on the firebox. Folks are asking, I thought you were moving. Why are you starting a project, right? Well, our move got pushed up by a week because of CV. Everyone's delayed. So many people are buying and selling houses. There's nothing wrong, no snafu. It's just, it just took a little extra time. So we pushed all that up. So we are packing up. You can see behind us, we got pallet racks coming down, all that stuff. So those of you who have ask or volunteer to come out and help with the move, we'll be in touch. We still don't have that exact closing date, but it may be Friday. We'll see, but we'll let you know on that. So let's jump into the box real quick. Let's get that wrapped up. We got to make a lid, got to get the side put on, and I don't know if I'm going to paint it or not. That white pine is so beautiful. Maybe we'll just stencil a beautiful red on there, but we'll think about that. We'll decide as we go. So let's jump into it. Put this side on here and then we'll make a top. We'll have to do the hinges and all that. This cheap old ponderosa pine here is so warped and twisted. Let's clamp that together, and then those pocket screws should pull that in there nice and tight. Hopefully the math all worked out here. Oh, that's perfect. Perfect. If you guys haven't used these pocket screws, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this is probably the best invention for carpenters in the last 20 years. I would say that the reliable lithium cordless drill. After that, this is the this is the next best thing. The pocket screws are really good at pulling things tight, but if you want to have really nice, clean work, it's worth it to take a little extra time and use a couple clamps and make sure you clamp everything tight like that. Suck it in there and make sure it's flush. You can always feel more than you can see, and then your pocket screws won't wander. They do have a tendency to wander a little bit if you don't really have it secured. There is something about a freshly built pine box that gives me the fizz. According to you guys in the comments, I'm not alone in that. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's a combination of just the clean right angles and the smell of it, and it's just a pleasant thing. This is the first, I think, real project that I've done on the workbench. Remember, we made this out of 2x4s. I'll give this to Jack someday if he wants it, but until then, I'll gladly use it. It's an excellent bench for this sort of thing. I've always kind of thought, that the best way to put a bench was to push it up against the wall. And that's fine and all, but man, for carpentry projects, and especially if you're videoing, having a bench in the middle of a room where you can get to all three sides of it is, it's very, very handy. Wood comes from nature, and nature is not easily tamed. However, me having opposable thumbs and screw clamps means I win. I'll force it to my will here, and then it'll eventually give up as it strains against the screw for the next 18 months. That's it for the sides. They're all fastened. Now when I built the bottom, I did all the pocket screws ahead of time. Here you can see, so that we can screw into the sides as well. Some folks ask, how come I didn't use plywood and use the 1x material? Plywood is not, it's just not the same. It's not real wood. It's very handy, so back in the day before we had access to plywood, if you needed something that was big, like the bottom of a box like this, or a drawer, bottom of a drawer or something, you'd have to laminate or glue together or fasten boards together. Now you can just get a big 4x8 sheet, but plywood doesn't hold up very well outside. If it gets wet, it delaminates. It's held together with glue. And, it's not as cool. Here you can see on the bottom all the pocket screws. So this is how I fastened the pieces together on the bottom, and then pocket screws into the sides as well. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 across here. Now a lot of guys would stop here, but I don't think this is going to be strong enough for the amount of weight that we need to put in it. This is going to be a 2-man box. That's why it was designed, not for me just to pick up by myself, too much gear in it. And it's going to get treated rough and might get dumped out of the back of a truck or something. So we're going to make it strong. So what I'm thinking is we're going to do a full wrap of 1x4 on this before we make the top, and the top actually be a little bit bigger, a little bit of an overhang, meaning 1x4 all the way around to all four sides, basically boxing it in. That's going to give a double layer of wood, a little extra protection. It's going to tie all this stuff together from the handle. Everything's going to be made out of wood here, and I think it's just going to be necessary because there's with the chainsaw and the fuel. Wildland pack, there's going to be a couple hundred pounds in this box. Let me tell you a little bit about Simplisafe. Simplisafe is a reliable, simple security system that you can install yourself. When I put my system in, the whole thing took less than an hour. Everything came in the mail. Everything was very easy to install. I didn't have to drill any holes. I didn't have to make any alterations to the house. Very easy. The interface on the control panel is excellent. No questions. I didn't even have to call customer support. I installed HD cameras that I can check from my phone. I installed freeze sensors in some of the remote areas of our house which tend to get frozen pipes in the winter, as well as smoke detectors, fire alarms, the whole thing. When we leave the house, we feel pretty good knowing that our house is covered, and we also get to enjoy 24-hour monitoring that costs, I think last time I checked, was about 50 cents a day. If you'd like to get your own Simplisafe system or just interested in some more information, go to simplisafe.com/Wranglerstar. I like it so much, guys, that I'll be installing it in my new homestead. I wanted to share a little tip with you guys. If you run into spots where you can't, your pocket screws where you can't get your drill in, like an inside corner of a box where it's too tight, just take your bit or even a shorter one, like you have a little one that would fit in the normal, end of a normal driver, 1/4-inch socket, 1/4-inch drive, and you can put that on there and you can get that in there and tighten those up by hand. Our next step is going to be wrapping all four sides with the 1x. As I did one here ahead of time, just so you can kind of see what we're doing. We'll do both sides and then we'll do the ends here. Now the 1x4 will make a nice strong corner. It's also going to tie the sideboards together. That gives us a full 1.5 inches of wood now on the top and on the bottom. A lot of extra strength right there. This is a little bit wobbly. You get the 3/4 over here, but now it's really, really going to be strong. And we're putting in nice, big, heavy 1.25-inch construction screws. Those of you who are using the metric system, make sure that you mark these top and bottom because it's not a reliable system for measuring things. If you're using the imperial system, you'll be able to swap back and forth. It won't make any difference. To get the top measurement, I'll just flip it over. That way I don't have to try to hold it up there with clamps and all that. Got quite a bit of twist in this. You get that, sometimes one clamp won't even hold it. I'll put 2 clamps on, get them tight as you can get them, and then usually you could tap this. With the horizontals installed, we can cut our verticals. After doing like fine woodworking, traditional woodworking, or attempting at dovetails and stuff, this 16th-inch scale seems awfully crude when you're trying to do nice cabinetry type of work. I just noticed a mistake I made. Look at that gap. This 9 5/8, that was 1/8 over what the other sides were. It just dawned on me. I didn't clamp that down and see the gap. That's what happens when you have a workbench. It's not flat. I planed this flat originally, but it was wet, wet 2x4s, and it's twisted and moved on me, and I forgot that. So I'm going to take this off and redo it. Now we can't use the same holes because trying to move that at 1/8 of an inch, if I tried to press that down, they're just going to follow their own holes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over, and then it'll get new holes, and then we'll press this down. I can't live with that. That's going to mess everything off when I put the cross pieces, and I just can't have it. I'm not going to go to all the trouble of making this right and then cut a corner at the last minute. See right there, that's what bit us. This was sticking up right there. That's the 1/8. Clamp that, pull that down. Now, that's what I should have done. Now it's correct. Okay, because we flipped that, now this is going to be going into a new hole. Now we can do our verticals. And there it is. There was the missing eighth. 9 7/16 plus.